We're asked to talk about the future of the beef industry, kind of looking back where we've been, where we're going, just a general overview of kind of what your message was to the group.
What I really tried to do was get macro instead of micro, not what's the cattle market going to be next year, but what are the big changes, the big movements that may happen, and where is this industry going to change? So I basically went to my sons who are all involved in agriculture at different levels, and we talked about it, and I put together a talk around 5 major changes, you know, who's going to own ranching, the demographics of America and what they're going to eat, the growing middle class, and growing use of genomics and genetics, and tried to give sort of a macro view of some of the things that might affect agriculture in the future.
Let's talk a little bit about those 5 items.
Really, as we got this aging agriculture population, you know, and they begin to leave, who's going to replace them and who's going to own these ranches? The large capital investment, and not just ranches, farms. How do you generate the cash to go buy those farms so that you can have entries of young people? And I talked about some of the things I think will happen, that more of them will be managers for investors. Some of them are going to have to lease property. And so I think the basic land ownership issue may be different in the future than it is now.
And then you talk a little bit about the changing American dynamics.
People have been saying, you know, well, the rate of growth of the Hispanic and the Asian population, the whites are going to be a minority. And I talked about how I believe that's baloney, because what will happen is we'll assimilate them. So I don't think 50 years from now we're going to have 46% of the population will be white. I think 50 years from now we'll have a different hybrid in the American populace. But what is happening is our food changes. You know, so we're eating more burritos and more tacos and more carne asada and more salsa than we did 20 or 30 years ago. And so as we assimilate them, we assimilate their food, and it changes what we eat.
You also talked about the marketplace.
30, 40 years ago, the US, Canada, and Europe had almost all the middle class. And now I think we're like 18% of the middle class in the world. And the prognostications are that by 2050, which is not really that far away, we'll only be 9% of the middle class. And the middle class buys beef wherever they're at. And so when they're talking about 65 or 70% of the middle class will be in the Asia Pacific area, China, Japan, Indonesia. They're the ones that's our growing market for the future, and they love beef. They want beef. So as that middle class grows, there may well be, probably will be, that more beef will be consumed, American beef will be consumed in China than will in the United States. And we'll suddenly have new market demands. How do we satisfy our Chinese customer? And it may be a different product than we think.